So a little bit more about me than people already know. I grew up in the UK. I left the UK after university when I was 21, and I went to Hong Kong, and I joined the Royal Hong Kong Police Force.
Most asked question. What do you like about me?
Things like, other culture shock things. When you're a foreigner and you're arriving to work and live in a country where you don't speak the language for the next 3 years or something. There's so many new experiences, but in particular I remember like in the first week I was there, I discovered a okonomiyaki restaurant under the railway arches at Irakajo. And I went there a few times in the first few months that I was in Tokyo. And what do you call those fish shavings that go on top of the
Katsuobushi?
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, it's moving. Why is it moving? And honestly, I couldn't understand why something on top of the okonomiyaki that I could see being prepared was moving. And I was thinking, my God, is it something alive, But actually it was just fish shavings, right?
Yeah.
And, things like that. Amazing.
外人ですね。
本当に, and what else? Yeah, but Tokyo was lots of fun. I mean, I remember at the weekends, I didn't ever get home until after sunrise on Saturday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember like regularly walking home as the sun was coming up on Saturday morning.
Yeah, good old days. Okay.
What else?
Daddy's favorite Japanese word?
Kanashibari.
Okay. So why?
I experienced it twice in Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Once the bank had a cabin in the woods in the forest near Kawaguchiko. No, what's the other one? Not Kawaguchiko.
Karizawa.
Karizawa, sorry. And once there was about 4 or 5 of us staying there during a huge snowstorm. And we'd been skiing at night, and I was sleeping in the room closest to the door. And I was lying there asleep, and I could hear footsteps coming through the snow down the track. And the footsteps got closer and closer through the snow and came to the wooden steps of the ski lodge, or the lodge where we were staying in the forest. And the footsteps came up the steps, and the door opened, and I was still lying there with my eyes closed, and I wanted to see who it was, and I couldn't move, and I couldn't open my eyes, and the footsteps came up to it was like a tatami room, okay, but the sliding door was open, and the footsteps came up right next to where my head was, and I was desperately trying to open my eyes to see who it was. And the footsteps stopped and turned around, and the footsteps went out of the front door, the door closed, down the steps, and I could hear the footsteps going off through the snow up the track to the main road.
Wow, scary.
And then I could open my eyes and move, and I couldn't see anybody there. And that was pretty scary, actually. A lot of people had stories about that hut being haunted.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it was real.
I don't know. I mean, I know somebody, one of my friends in the bank stayed there on his own one night, and he found it a pretty terrifying experience. So I don't know, but, I'm reading about what it could have been, looking for, you know, rational scientific explanations, Kanashibari is probably what it was. And it happened to me once more when I was at home in Tokyo one night, a similar type of thing. But it never happened since.
Yeah, a few nights ago I experienced while you were in Andorra. But I was tired.
Yeah, I mean the scientific explanation for it is when you're tired and stressed, your brain sort of loses connection with its consciousness.
Yeah.
And you know, you're asleep and you realise you're asleep.
But
And
the
you-
brain's awake.
That's right, and you can't kind of break out of that to
Yeah.
actually control your body until you relax and come out of it.
But for me, in Morocco, we saw like probably ghost. Me and Yukiko both saw it in the desert on the tent. It's not just a Kanashibari. It's not just me experiencing. We both.
What? Were you able to move or what?
No, I couldn't. But at the same time, it's strange. She saw it too.
Saw what?
Like somebody who came in and
Like squatting down?
squatting down by the bed.
Well, maybe it was a real person.
Maybe, I don't know.
And that's another thing you asked the question, what somebody asked the question, what do I like about Mama? Another thing I have always admired about you is your passion for travel. You know, you're not, I don't think you're typical. You know, when I met you, you were a bit different.
Do we finish?
Okay, anything else you didn't ask?
Anything you want to answer? Okay, next one. This is the last question. Did you have any difficulty when you get international marriage? Example, parent.
How long have you got? I think it depends on the people, really. Honestly, I mean, I think we're both very flexible international people. So the fact that we are from different countries, from different cultures, I think is irrelevant in our case. Okay, I think, you know, for people like us who are very international in experience and outlook, it doesn't really matter. It matters more about, you know, actual personalities,
Yeah.
right? But I would say if somebody, you know, was more domestically focused, I mean, you know, if they hadn't travelled, if they were only interested in their own country, if they then married somebody from another country who was also like that, then I think you're going to have problems. You know, you could have problems. It would be difficult, probably more difficult. But, you know, the problems that we have are not because I'm British and you're Japanese. I mean, you know, the
Personality and stuff, yeah.
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 I mean, for me, it doesn't make any difference about what country people come from or, you know, what race they are.
I think he or she wanted to ask, for example, parents. Did you have any difficulty, like with your parents?
No,
When you say, I'm gonna marry to Japanese?
no,
Okay.
none at all.
Granny said she was a bit sad that you married to Japanese because she thought that you're gonna be in Japan, you know. I think she was imagining that you're gonna be in Japan, kids only speak Japanese. I remember she started learn Japanese because she needs to communicate.
But that was never going to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like that, and neither would you. I mean, you know, we both remember when Tom was born in England, right? I was working in Vietnam, and you were in England.
Yeah.
You met a Japanese lady, and their kids don't speak Japanese. You know, I would never be like that, and you would never be like that, because we both wanted our kids to be completely fluent in English and Japanese, and to not think of themselves as one or the other. They're both, right? You know, I think in that way, it's never really been a problem. I mean, you know, all couples argue. The things we argue about are not because you're Japanese and I'm British. They're about the things that we argue about, right? I mean, we have friends in Japan, in Tokyo, who, you know, international marriages, but all of them are very balanced in how their families operate.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're not a Japanese family and they're not a Gaijin family. They are both at the same time, like we are.
Okay. Well, thank you, Daddy.
My pleasure. Okay. Thank you very much.
またコメントとかがあったらインスタの方にお願いします。では、さよなら。